Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Station does not guarantee the results of any investments made by a listener to this program.
The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush is sponsored by the Word on Wealth Radio Network. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary is a San Diego financial solutions attorney, protecting people like you. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. Now, here's
You're live. Happy Thursday, everyone. This is Gary Quackenbush on the Word on Wealth. Today, you know what today is? Today's Thursday. That's the day that we all become smarter with our money and our finances, our investments. I have a list of questions to ask Anthony Wright. He is our financial expert here on the Word on Wealth radio show, and we have him right here with us on this show. Anthony, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Gary, good to be with, friend. I trust you've been well since last week. You've been doing good?
Oh, yeah. Everything's great. We got lots going on. You know,
hiked 50 miles and rode the bike 20 miles. And in the meanwhile, I'm sitting here.
Sitting there getting ready to go water skiing on your lake in your front yard. Yeah, I know.
That's right.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm doing good. It's good to be with you. Looking forward to seeing what you got for me today. I'm happy to be back and be feeling better. And I'm glad you're back. You took a little trip there. So.
Oh, I'm always taking little trips, man. I'm tripping.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Was it a hiking trip? Did you go hiking?
So we went up to, we did a bunch of hiking. Yeah, went up to visit my son in Vancouver, Washington, up in Washington State. So it's very beautiful up there, very green.
That is one of my favorite places I have ever visited is Vancouver, Washington.
So cool. Right across the Columbia River from Portland. So it's funny up there. There's no Washington State income tax, and there's no Oregon State sales tax. So you do your shopping in Oregon and working in Washington. It's funny. But it was beautiful.
You would actually be proud of me. I've been doing some hiking. I've been doing quite a bit of hiking, and
nice.
I guess since I last saw you, I'm down 30 pounds.
Good grief.
Yeah. That's
fantastic. Way to go, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to get myself in better shape.
Well, and you talk about having a lot going. You have really got a lot going. The radio and TV and all that stuff you're doing. It's terrific. The amount of outreach you're doing.
It is. I just it's just keeping me so busy, man. I'm not sure whether I'm chasing my tail. I most of the time I don't have time to hardly breathe.
Well, and so are you actually in Tennessee now?
I am in Tennessee. Yep, I'm in Tennessee. Last week I was talking to you from Dallas, Texas, but I'm in Tennessee. So I do a lot of flying back and forth. Good news is it's only about an hour and a half flight. In that flight, I can do a lot of texting and emailing and different things. So I get a lot done when I'm on the plane flying to and from, and then when I'm back here, of course I'm working here, but. The neat thing here is I've got 32 acres, right? I can go out here and clear my mind. I can get out in the woods, and I can go out here and paddle boat on my lake. I can do some hiking and biking, and so that's the cool thing about here in Tennessee is I've got land, I've got acreage.
Oh, that's so great. That's really cool. That's good to hear. I mean, that there's nothing better for your spirit and your soul and your body than just being outdoors. I always love those studies where they come out and they say, we have determined that any amount of time outdoors, they're literally saying now just plain any amount of time outdoors makes a significant difference in your health. Just to get people out, just get out, stop looking at your screen, just go outside. I don't care if it's rain. It's funny.
Yes. I walked out this morning and I had 8 turkey. No, I had 10 turkeys and I had 8 deer. And I went out to do my walk back into the woods and it was just beautiful. It was just, it just looked like a slice of what you would imagine heaven to be.
I love that. That's fantastic. There's just, that's just something, there's nothing better. That's so cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. You guys, we got Anthony Wright here. He's our financial advisor here on the Word on Wealth. His number is 931-RETIRED, RETIRED, 931-RETIRED. What I typically do is anybody that wants any questions answered regarding their retirement, their investment accounts, whether they have good or bad things going on. I have them just talk to Anthony. It's easy to remember his number, 931-RETIRED. If you're into going to websites instead of calling on the phone, that's safe. Also, you can go to Bible Safe Investing, one polysyllabic word, BibleSafeInvesting.com. And while you're there, Anthony has agreed to let our listeners get a free book called Bible Safe Investing. So you go to BibleSafeInvesting.com. And those of you that are ready to have Anthony have some of your money under management and do all the fantastic things that we talk about on this show, you can go to BibleSafeInvesting.com and get started. Anthony, a couple things I wanted to ask is in general, there's been some changes, with the real estate market. There's some funny things with, the Biden administration is currently trying to make it so that, if you have a higher credit score, you have to pay more for your mortgage. There's a lot of really weird kind of, income redistribution things. But in the financial markets, it just seems like there's been some, I don't know, severe reactions, but the market's been moving around a lot lately. And I wanted to get kind of an update from you, like where are we as far as the market itself with the inflation and all that going on?
That's a good question. And I appreciate that question. And I appreciate you giving me this platform to talk about the things and that people need to be educated on. And technically, by definition, Gary, we are in a recession. If you go by definition, which the market has to be in a consecutive downward pattern for 2 consecutive quarters, which is 6 months. And so that, technically we are in a recession. They say that inflation is like 9.5%. I will tell you it's more like 12 to 12.5%. It's absolutely out of control. The feds are going to go up again on the rate to try to slow it down. And when that happens, it crushes the real estate market. That's what it happened, because people don't want to go out and buy a home and pay 8.5%, 9.5% in. They just don't. Now, they think the world's caving in and they think everything's falling apart. But you're old enough to remember, like I am, the days of Jimmy Carter when interest rates were 19 and 20%. So, this age group and the era that we're in right now, people think 8.5% and 9.5% interest rates on home loan is crazy. But you and I remember a time when 19 and 20% is what your mortgage was. So it's not as bad as it has been previously. So, I want to just remind people not to get into fear. God doesn't give us a spirit of fear. He gives us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. And so, I just want to encourage people to try to stay away from fear. If the more you listen to the news, the more in fear you're going to get. I mean, it's just crazy, the reports of things that are going on around the world. And but this inflation stuff, interest rates, this is real. And Biden administration is trying to penalize for people with better credit scores.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust.
All right.
You
We'll
need
be
them.
right back.
Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect,
We got to get his timing better.
estate planning,
I was
trust
very
administration,
confused.
inheritance, and probate.
Go screen and clean your investments for you. There's no cost, no obligation.
No, I was finding if I was literally starting the music when I was telling you 60s
the property has to be administered. So it's like taking it from the decedent to the survivor. That's called the estate administration process. So usually you're going to have a successor trustee that's named in the trust. They'll have no idea what they're doing because they've never done it before. So then they call on GQ Law and we walk them step by step on how to be a successful and good
I mean, I can give second Q too if you want. It's up to you.
by the Department of Health Services and all requirements
No, 1
so
minute's
that they
fine.
can have the estate administration done properly. We help successor trustees be successful.
Call or click to request your free consultation. gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
Who will you trust with the biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecos and the Pecos Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecos has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecos Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecos is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecos.com. That's Ken Pecos, Pecus.com. Or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty. Ryan.
You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500.
You're live.
Welcome to The Word on Wealth. This is Gary Quackenbush. I'm here with Anthony Wright. He's our trusted financial fiduciary. He's on with us every Thursday. And Anthony's dishing the goods on the financial markets. And we just really appreciate him being with us. His number is 931-RETIRED. That's to get a hold of him directly. And if you have a question for Anthony, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-344-1170. Give us a call. Anthony, last time we were talking, gosh, it was several weeks ago, we had, Silicon Valley Bank crashed and Signature Bank and Credit Suisse. And is there anything that's affecting the markets now about those? Because it just seems like it just all of a sudden went away. But I can't imagine this. Okay, the problem solved. Is the market being still kind of pushed around by those things, or did they really get pushed in the background and now the market's just moving forward?
Yeah, they kind of got pushed in the background. Market's moving forward. Honestly, if you're the right age and you're the right risk score, now's the time to pounce on them and buy them, right? It's one of those things that you hate to hear bad news, but it's one of those things that if you use wisdom and you use knowledge, it's a great buy. Yeah, it's no different than running to the shoe store when there's a 50% off sale and buying shoes, going to the clothes factory outlet because you can get an 80% off sale. It's bad news that those banks got bailed out by FDIC, but everybody knows that they got their money back because of the FDIC, the government bailout, and then the market just moves on. But, you take Credit Suisse. I think it was 30, 60 days ago, somewhere in there, a month or two ago. You're talking about almost $70 a share. And
Wow.
today you can buy it for $2.
Wow. That's,
So,
but see,
yeah.
that's why we need guys like you, because, regular people that don't think about this stuff day and night would be like, oh, wow, what it must be worth nothing at all. And why would I ever touch that? But then we have, you and your team, because that's what you do. You watch these things and from experience and all the things that you've been involved in for so long, what's a good deal and what's not. But, a guy like me, it's like, oh, wow, are those, why is there the chef's specials? Because the fish is starting to smell bad and now the chef's kind of dumping it,
Right.
but it's like,
Right.
that you've told us before, which is always really fun. Like, what's going on because of the position that you're in as a fiduciary and as a financial advisor, that you have a lot of, not insider information. That sounds bad, but information that's not available to the general public, because you search it and find it out, and what things are going on. You can see what companies are actually doing and who's buying and how big of a difference that makes. So I'm always very excited to hear, when something goes wrong. Anthony's always got the good side of it. But, well, that's, it is on sale. It is on sale today. So,
Well, it is. My 27-year-old daughter just a couple of days ago, she's like, well, tell me what I can put my money in to make some money. I only have a few $100 and I go buy Credit Suisse stock.
interesting.
Well, can you show me how to do that? Sure. So yeah, it's bad news, but at the same time, you want to take advantage of stuff like that when it happens. And when it's a great buy, you pounce on it. Now, obviously, if you're not in the proper risk score, if you're not young enough to ride out, because you're going to have to wait 4 or 5 years for that stock to ever return back to its all-time high. So you're going to have to be able to wait that out. But there is such a thing, Gary, as too big to fail.
Mhm.
And when I tell people that, a lot of times they're kind of, they kind of look at me like I've got two heads, like I'm weird or something, because they're like, what do you mean? Well, a bank the size of Credit Suisse and Silicon Bank, these banks are too big to fail. It's like the airlines. They're too big to fail. Could you imagine if Southwest and Delta and American crashed tomorrow? Not literally crashed their plane, but yeah, literally their companies just went down, down the toilet. What would happen? There would be national, if not international, catastrophic event here. So the government would step in and bail them out. That is called being too big to fail. So that's when you would jump in and buy your airline stocks, right? Because they're too big to fail. Yeah, the stock's going to tank. The reason the stock's going to tank is because it's driven by either fear or optimism. And when fear hits, they tank. If people are very optimistic about the stock, it rises. That's all the stock market is. It's either fear or optimism. And you'll watch if fear is in a company, it'll tank. That's the time to buy. If there's optimism, then it's going to go up.
That's interesting, because we kind of think that the stock market, that everything's really technical and it's computer driven, and we can kind of figure things out with our pencil and our slide rule and our abacus or whatever. But then you realize really a lot of it is emotion and feelings. And I feel this is happening. And I feel that this is a bad deal now. It's these emotional spirit of fear type things that you're talking about. And so a guy like me, it's like, oh my gosh, that sounds terrible. This company is falling apart. I need to get out, but you're kind of like the opposite. Well, actually, they're too big to fail. And I think what happens with that term, from my perspective, is that the term is, people say too big to fail, and we're using it almost like as saying, it's a black swan, or it's a bear market or a bull market. It's the too big to fail is actually kind of it's a term of art, it sounds like, because it's not too big to fail. I think in kind of generic terms sounds like, oh, they can do whatever they want. They're too big to fail. They can be sloppy. They can be irresponsible. It's like, no, that's not true. Too big to fail is almost like saying, because the impact on global economy would be significant enough that it's not that they're quote too big to fail. It's too big for the people that are really concerned and the governments to allow them to completely fall off the map. So it's like almost like a government guarantee-ish type thing. The government's going to jump in. Right. They're so big. That's so interesting.
Yeah, so interesting. Exactly. And that's what happens. And try to get yourself in a position, for those that are listening today, try to get yourself in a position where you don't sell when it's down. In a down market is when you want to buy. Don't sell. So you see a trend, and I have, especially working in this industry over the past 15 years, that people panic and they sell when it's down. Well, that's the worst thing you can do because you're going to lose all of your gain. So you want to be in a position where when it's down, you buy. When it's up, you sell. But you see very, very few people ever do that. They do right the opposite. And I have this saying, Gary, that I live by. I live by principles. I try to live by principles more than feeling. And a principle is watch what people do, not what they say. People will tell you anything. They will tell you everything. Not that it's true, not that it isn't true. They will say anything, and they will tell. But watch what people do. If you watch what they do, you'll see their true character just by watching what they do. I watch what you do. You go out and hike. You know what that tells me? You don't have to sit around the dinner table and tell me you're interested in your health. No, I watch you. You are. It's like that. It's stuff like that. Just watch what people do, and you'll know, you'll begin to understand life a lot better, because you'll quit being emotional based on what people tell you. Just watch what they do. Wow. You go to a grocery store, you see a gentleman open the door for his wife. You don't see that anymore nowadays. You see a gentleman open the door for his wife. You know what that is? That's a man that respects and honors his wife.
Oh, sometimes I won't even let my wife open the door. I kind of try and scurry in front of her to open it for her before she gets there, Anthony.
That's right.
There you go, Noah.
There you go. Throw the body block.
You guys are awesome.
That's funny. It's true though. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with disrespect. I do it for my kids. That's just fun. I always like doing stuff like that. That's pretty fun. Thanks for chiming in.
Yeah, I do too. Yep.
So I'd like to, and from a financial standpoint, you're listening to The Word on Wealth. By the way, we're talking to Anthony Wright, whose number is 931 retired. He's our financial advisor here on The Word on Wealth. Helps a lot of our clients get through these really rough times. And, you hear the news that says inflation is terrible. It's 9%. And Anthony goes, no, it's not. It's closer to 12, because we're looking at how things actually function. Super guy to know, so that he's the one running your investments, actually running your investments rather than watching them do their thing. And then every quarter they go, let's rethink about this. Hey, one of the things that I had a question on, this kind of came up from like in a estate planning standpoint. And that was like, people with like successions. The thing I like to do with is succession planning. In other words, when you die, what happens to your stuff, or what happens to your investments and all that. Do you, in your business, do you help like business owners with that plan? Like that, okay, you're in this business, you have your money invested thusly, and here's how it could shift over to your children, like those wealth transfer shifts and the succession plans. Do you work with things like that?
We do a lot of those. And then when it comes down to,
about 2 minutes,
bring their wealth, we do a lot of the tax-free transferring of the wealth. And then we refer a lot of people to you when it comes to trust and getting their trust. And all of our California people get referred to you. So yes, we do a lot of that.
Terrific. And the nice thing about you're getting information from Anthony is you are on, you're on XM satellite radio, right? So you got your show going all over the place, and you have a podcast.
Yes, I do.
So how do people find your podcast?
They just go to the podcast app, type in faith-based investing, and it'll pop right up, and you'll just subscribe. And I actually won some kind of award last month. I cracked over 10,000 subscribers. So I don't know what that means, but it felt nice to
Congratulations.
get an award.
Well, if they each sent you $5 a month,
About a minute.
we could do that.
Yeah,
You know, so
I can handle that.
yeah. I think if you get over 1 million subscribers, then you're talking. But for now, you're just small potatoes. Just keep on the radio, man.
I'm small
On
potatoes.
the radio.
Man.
Small potatoes. You
Right.
got so much going on. Anthony, it's really always a pleasure to have you on the show. And thanks for being our financial advisor here on the Word on Wealth. We really appreciate what you do. And you're doing these things faith-based and helping people put their money where their walk, where their talk is. And I just think it's so important. We think we almost try to disconnect our financial lives from our personal lives. And that's just it's not right. We have to make sure our financial lives and personal lives line up. And Anthony Wright is here to help us do that and make a lot of money in the meantime. 931 retired is his number. 931 retired. He's on with us every Thursday here on the Word on Wealth. And we'll have Anthony back next week to keep chatting. And I will be back in a couple minutes to keep chatting with you guys. Anthony, thanks for being on the air with us again today. Appreciate you being our
Thanks for
advisor.
the platform, man.
All
Have
right.
a good one.
All right. Take care. All right. We'll be right back here on the Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com. Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST. GQLaw.com.
Happy Thursday. Yeah, it was great hearing from Anthony, right? How'd you like that? He's so smart, and I love his positive attitude about it. There are a lot of things going on in the financial markets. You hear the news and it says today the Dow Industrial Average is up 150 points. And whether it's up or down 150 points or up or down 1 point, it's the same animated, like, oh no, it's down, it's up. I was teaching a class to a bunch of high school kids for many, many years. And I was talking to them about, kind of setting your mood for the day. Like how does your day kind of get started? And because it means a lot to your brain, what you fill it with to get started. And I ended up when I was, doing some investing and stuff like that, I ended up having an app, and on the app, it would track my investments. And so when I would turn the app on, it literally, if my investments were going up, the entire screen would be green. And if they were going down, the entire screen would be red. So that's like the first thing. You log into the app. As soon as I click on the app, it would go either red or green. And I thought that was pretty cool because I really like apps. And I realized after a couple of weeks of running this app, it was like it would make a difference in how my day went, or at least how it started for quite a ways into the day, whether that screen was red or green. And I realized it's like, it was crazy to be watching the stock market every day and watching my investments go up and down, because it didn't tell me whether it was down a teeny tiny bit, or whether it was crashing, or it was going up a teeny tiny bit, or whether it was like really just like really building. It didn't. It was just like, it's bad today, it's good today, it's bad today. And it was interesting. It was affecting how I was thinking, and it was affecting how I was treating people. And so cool. What did I do? Of course, you're right. I deleted the app. So I had a bunch of kids that I was talking to in this class and saying, my gosh, this is what happened to me. And they're all like, delete that app. Kind of like if you have a news rag that goes into your phone, and it alerts you every time there's some quote newsworthy thing, and you don't establish what you think is newsworthy, and you don't find the right service that really kind of has your same, views or standards or whatever, then you end up just getting bombarded, and it could really be overwhelming and easy to just kind of get sucked into that and have, news and that things around you really manage how you feel. And that's not healthy. We talk about that, by the way, on our Friday show. That's tomorrow, not today. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that. It's just really important. I think mental health, mental wealth, financial health, that's all important. It all goes along together. It all goes along together. All right. So Anthony talks all the time about, God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So and the way it was described to me by a therapist that we had on our Friday show, is his description to me was that your brain is basically set up so that if it has fear, then there's these chemicals and hormones that start racing around in your body, and you can actually become physically sick because of worry. That gets you depression and anxiety. Anxiety is freaking out about the future. Depression, worrying about the past, neither of which you can control in the moment. And then if you do the same thing with money and you start tracking it that seriously, if you're not careful and you don't have the right advisors that you can look further down the road, you can become physically ill. So that's why we talk about this stuff and getting stuff set up. Now, my job is to help you figure out what needs to be done to get your estate plan in order, so that in the event of your incapacity, which is a 70% chance, you will be prepared to be taken care of, that your money will be available to you, managed by someone other than you. Because if you were ill and you now were incapacitated or incompetent, somebody else has to manage your money. And if you don't have that set up, then somebody, whoever that is, family member, friend, loved one, neighbor, whoever, to be able to help you with your money and help take care of the daily things that you need to take care of, they'd have to go to court. That's a long process. It's very expensive, long process. And what I mean by long is it could be like 4 to 9 months before they could get access to money to be able to help you. So the fact that you have a 70% chance of becoming incapacitated and incapable of taking care of your own financial well-being, like literally couldn't write checks because you can't figure out what the bills are all about and all that because you lost it. If you're not prepared for that, somebody has got to go to court, to probate court, and get a conservatorship over you and manage your money. And if you have somebody that's willing to do that, great. Isn't it better, though, to have your money in a living trust and have a successor trustee designated ahead of time rather than forcing someone to go to court? Okay, so if you have a living trust and you became incapacitated, your successor trustee can get the authority to access your money to be able to take care of you, and they can do it as soon as sometimes it only takes a couple of days. or a couple of weeks at the most. It's not hard to do. Unlike if somebody's trying to help you and it was not in a trust, they're either going to have a power of attorney, which you can give your neighbor a power of attorney, or you can give a general power of attorney to somebody. I suppose you could, kind of dangerous, but if you had a living trust and then it was determined that you're incapacitated, that trustee could then access your money for your benefit and do it following the instructions that you leave in that living trust, which we have that in every single living trust that we draft, how to take care of you during incapacity. So trusts are a big deal. The thing I really wanted to talk about today and really go over with you is the healthcare power of attorney. This is part of every estate plan that I prepare. I make sure there's a healthcare power of attorney. Sometimes they're called a health directive. People call them a health power. They call them a DNR. They call, there's a bunch of different terms. The things that we're talking about are all a little bit different, but the whole purpose is the same thing. If you can't be communicated with, you're non-communicative, you're non-responsive, and the doctor, your caretakers, your people that are watching over you need authorization to do something under the Health Insurance Privacy and Portability Act, HIPAA, if they need some authorization to act or to not act, they need somebody with the actual legal authority to help them, or they're going to default to leave you on life support. It's not that they're being bad. It's just that that's the Hippocratic oath that they take, is that they're supposed to do, keep you alive basically, at all costs. And so they do. And you end up, burning your estate by maybe being on life support for a very, very, very long time, which is not what you had intended. Or if it is, fine. But let's get that into a healthcare power of attorney. So in this healthcare power of attorney, it's giving authority to someone that's we're calling the health power of attorney, not the financial power of attorney. So the health power of attorney is getting authority to review records under HIPAA, Health Insurance Privacy and Portability Act. So it's giving them authority to review your records, to talk about your records, to talk about your person and your personal stuff with your doctor, physicians, and professionals. That's what the healthcare power of attorney does. You're the power of attorney. You can access that information. And you have to, or else the doctor can't even tell you the condition and ask you what decision to make. Number two, the document indicates who pulls the plug. I mean, it's not like that power of attorney really grabs the plug and pulls it out of the wall. It's not that. That's kind of that's kind of the conceptual idea. It's the healthcare power of attorney person is the one that's going to be deciding with the doctor if the conditions are met under which you do not want life support to be kept going, or you either want it removed or you don't want it even put in place. If you meet those conditions, that's part of the healthcare power of attorney form that we do. The other thing is it also gives direction. It's your statement of desires, and that's the section that says I want organ donation or not, or what kind of organ donation, which organs, and do you want to be buried or cremated? Do you want to allow an autopsy or not? Those are the things that go in the healthcare power of attorney. It's a little different than a physician's directive, but it is giving direction to your physician through your power of attorney. It's not specifically a DNR, do not resuscitate. That's a little bit different, where it says, if I pass out, do not revive me. That's something you want your healthcare person to know, because they can insist on do not resuscitate. And then you also have things for some religious beliefs. They don't want transfusions. That needs to be specifically in your healthcare power of attorney. So those are all the things. And when we do power of attorneys with every estate plan, that's what you're going to get, healthcare power of attorney. We'll throw it in if you do a complete estate plan, if you mention the show and you call us at 855-500-TRUST. 855-500-TRUST. Get your free healthcare power of attorney with your complete estate plan. You're listening to The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush, and when we come back, I've got a couple suggestions for you successor trustees out there.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We are here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST.
Gary, your team at GQ Law are experts at solving IRS and state tax problems. Talk about that.
When people have a tax problem, it tends to really stress them out. And one of the things we've been able to do is figure out how to resolve tax problems. One thing we might be doing is setting up a payment plan or getting a collection delay, maybe getting a determination that the person shouldn't have to pay the taxes at all. We do offers and compromise. We do audit reconsiderations. And one of the things that's a really powerful tool that some people don't recognize is sometimes bankruptcy can be used to actually eliminate taxes when there's certain conditions of the code that are met. So we can do all kinds of things after we analyze your situation. We can figure out what's available, discuss your options, and figure out which ones to implement, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And we can get people out from under all kinds of tax problems so they can sleep again. That's our goal.
Request your free initial consultation. GQLaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQLaw.com.
Who will you biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecos and the Pecos Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions.
Yeah, the music's better.
Reasons that Ken Pecos has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecos Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecos is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecos.com. That's Ken Pecos, Pecus.com. Or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
Hi, I'm
Alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law 855-500-TRUST or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQLaw.com 855-500-TRUST.
You're live.
Look at that. We are back. This is Gary Quackenbush. Really good to have you on today. We just got a lot going on. This is super fun. Hey, tomorrow is Finding Joy Friday. Okay. Tomorrow's the day that we do the estate planning. We talk about wealth, but it's not with a dollar sign. It's your own mental wealth. So it's our Mental Health Friday, and we call it Finding Joy Friday. And that's going to be on Fridays like we do every single Friday. Remember our weekly schedule. We got Monday, we've got Rich Mathern dealing with taxes. Tuesday, we deal with mortgages. Wednesday, we deal with real estate. Thursday, we deal with finances. And Friday, we deal with the Finding Joy Friday show. So that's going to be on tomorrow. So good to have you guys along listening to that show. If you have comments on the show, just go to my website. It's gqlaw.com. If you want to get a hold of me, you want to get an appointment with me, you want to get my free books. I have a book called Living Trust Basics that I created. I have another one called The Tax Bankruptcy that I wrote. I have one that is called Accidentally Self-Employed. What's the difference between a corporation or an LLC? And should I be one or not? Those are 3 different ebooks. They're all about 20, 25 pages. They're not super long. It's more like an instruction book on how those things work. So you can go to my website, gqlaw.com. So just remember my initials, Gary Quackenbush, gqlaw.com. And you go there and you just click on it. You can do it on a tablet, on a cell phone, or on your computer, and you get an email with the PDF version of that small book, and it gives you some information, and they're shareable too. And you can send it to a friend and say, hey, I got this from Gary's website, and you send it to them, and then they have that information as well. We're all about helping people. You can help your friends with it, share it with them. That would be super cool. And especially if they wanted to give us a call and help out. Our number for free trust reviews, that's for people that are listening to the show, it's 855-500-TRUST. And to get your own appointment so that you can schedule a consultation with me, yes, me personally, to talk about your estate plan, it is 855-500-TRUST. Summertime is coming. It's around the corner. And we're almost, really, we're a month and a half away from summer. And I want you to be prepared for that. Don't wait until the week before you get on that plane to do your, the travel that you've been planning on for all this time. Your travel plan should include your estate plan, making sure that your things are in order. Not that you're at higher risk of traveling, but you're at higher risk when you're traveling. I want to make sure that you have your paperwork in order. So specifically though, let's go into successor trustees. If you have named a child of yours as a successor trustee, or if you are currently acting as a successor trustee for your parents, for example, or you're a beneficiary and you're trying to figure out what the heck your successor trustee is doing, your successor trustee sibling, for example, your sister or your brother that's supposed to be distributing the money and taking care of the trust, and you want to know what's going on, let's talk about some things that need to be done as a successor trustee. And we'll be following up with this in later shows to get in a little bit more detail. But basically, when someone passes away and they have a living trust, that's not the end of it. That doesn't mean that you just go and divide all the property up in, by the each equal number of shares. So let's say there's 3 kids. It doesn't mean you just split everything into thirds and you go away. There are some legal requirements. I mean, it's money that's getting passed. There's real property that's being passed. There's property being sold. That stuff all has to show up somewhere so that there's no audit later. Okay, the successor trustees' number one first job is to notify all the beneficiaries, even contingent beneficiaries. They have to notify the beneficiaries of the terms of the trust. And that's what it says in the probate code. So what you should be doing is sending all of the beneficiaries the trust, a copy of the full trust and all amendments that are still in play. And you have to give them a notification that's exactly what the probate code says. It says exactly what you're supposed to say. It has to give them notice that within 120 days, if they don't file an objection to the trust or the terms, then they're forever barred from bringing up any claim. Okay. And it's got to be specific. That's what the code says. If it's not specific, then it's not working. So they notify all the beneficiaries. They notify creditors by publication. And you may say, but my dad didn't have any creditors. He was debt-free. Sure, I believe it. But has he been sued in the last 2 or 3 years? Has he breached any contracts accidentally the last couple of years? Does he have anybody that's going to fake an accident on his property because they notice that the property is vacant, or the lawn is growing too high, or the lights don't come on at night? There's a lot of things that could potentially pop up, and I like to cut those off so that when somebody comes in 2 years from now and says, hey, I slipped and fell on your dad's sidewalk and I smashed my knee and I can't be an NFL quarterback now and I want some money, because they know that the house is being sold. You don't want that. You want to cut those claims off, because if you publish it in a local newspaper, then they are on notice that they've got a certain period of time during which anybody that wants to make a claim against the estate must make that claim. The law requires that the Department of Health Services be notified of someone's passing, so that they can see whether there's been any subsidies or assisted payments or payment reductions that basically were to the benefit of the person that died. And if there are, then they try to get reimbursement from your estate. So let's say there are. If they're trying to get reimbursement saying, hey, this guy got $15,000 of medical treatment that wasn't covered by his or her insurance, and now that money is owed. Well, it's only owed if there's money that is not in a living trust. So if all of your money is in a living trust and there's this huge health department services bill, the law changed. It's changed about 6 years ago, but it makes it so that they can't get into money that's held in the trust. That's a big reason to make sure you have your money in a trust. In case there's some subsidy and some of those come up under Obamacare and you don't notice them until it's, after. But that's a good reason to have a living trust, to try to make sure that you don't have any Department of Health Services claims against your estate after you die. The other jobs for the successor trustee, and this is the biggest one. The big one is to prepare and get approval of an accounting. That here's what was in the trust, here's what increases we had, here's what we spent, here's decreases in value. You can add, sell the house and add that to the accounting, but it's telling the beneficiaries everything that happened. That's super important. If there are things like health, education, or monies that are to be paid to beneficiaries that are minors or underaged or young beneficiaries, that's going to be the job of the successor trustee. So that could go on for a while. If the trust says, don't give anything to my children until they're 25, and when you die, the kids are 14, that's 11 years before that successor trustee's job is going to be over. So sometimes we want to shift that out, make it a professional trustee that's all they do for a living. Then, so it's just a long time payout. So you may have that trust form for a long time. You got to get advice on how that works. It is possible. If there's tax returns, trustee, your job is to get the tax returns done for the person that died, and for the trust. Those have got to be filed if there's any income. And then your job, the big job, is to distribute assets, where you are handing out the money. And that's the fun part. That's where everybody's really thrilled, because they're finally getting their money, and it's not instantaneous, even though you don't have a trust, even though you have a trust, it's just a lot sooner. So those are some of the jobs of a successor trustee. I want to go over more as we go through. Probably we're going to get into that a little bit more next week. The distribution, I think, is probably the funnest part. We got to make sure it's done right. And then you have to officially close the trust and terminate your trusteeship. So just being done and saying, okay, I'm done, and then just going away doesn't ever give closure. We always notify the IRS that, hey, we don't have any more taxes due. We don't have any more, it's so everything is taken care of. And that's what you want. You want to make sure that when
2 minutes
you pass away, everything is taken care of. And when you get that job done, when you get that job done, you want, as successor trustee, to be released from that job, because you want to be able to say, I did the returns for the individual that were necessary. I did tax returns for the trust if they were necessary, and there's not going to be any balances due. Everything's taken care of. So you're getting kind of this clean bill of health. You can now get the beneficiaries to sign an agreement saying that they're satisfied with what they got in their distribution share, and you can resign and actually be released from your duties as trustee. So if things come up later, it's not your fault. It's not your problem. You may have to step in again, but that's going to be with the agreement of your beneficiaries. Okay. So those are the things that I think are just super important. And then what I wanted to go over, and we don't have time to do it today, but it's like, well, so what if the successor trustee is doing a lousy job, or you just haven't heard from them? You have no idea what's going on because you haven't heard from the successor trustee. That's when you've got to figure out what to do. There's a petition under the probate code called the 17-200 petition. We do quite a few of those because a lot of trustees just don't do a good job, and they're feisty about it, and they don't answer our questions. And there's nothing more frustrating than having a trustee that's not doing their job and deciding that they're just not going to talk to anybody. That's just not a good play. So we want to make sure that the successor trustees are being successful. They're getting their job taken care of. They're doing everything that they need to do. And they're not doing anything that would make you suspicious about them taking the money from the trust and using it on their own. Because that's where you get freaked out. If you as a trustee are not providing information to the beneficiaries, you're walking on thin ice, because, if you get them to, if the beneficiaries get mad at you, then it's expensive. So make sure you keep them informed. All right. Talk to you tomorrow on the Word on Wealth. We're going to have our Finding Joy Friday. Been good to have you along, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Talk to you tomorrow here on the Word on Wealth.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995, with financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future.
The information you hear on the Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only. This program discusses general financial and legal topics. Seek legal advice from a competent lawyer for your individual legal needs. The opinions expressed here do not necessarily represent the views of Salem Media Group or its sponsors. The Word on Wealth with Gary Quack.
All right, dude. Have a good day off. We'll see you Monday.
Word on Wealth Radio Network.
Right. Thanks, man.
The airing of this
Take it easy.
station is not an endorsement